Upload it. Okay, so now we're good. We can record and I'll upload later and you can start the call.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, good. All right. Well, hello, everybody. It's Monday night. I just wanted to say hello and check in with everyone. We started a kind of a new tradition, I guess, where we found out about all these great books at the last event. And one of them that spoke to all of us was one called Good Energy by Casey Means. So we decided that we would add, a few minutes of just recap and sharing our takeaways from the books on our team calls. So I love kind of having that um, kind of growth and learning new things and reading something new that we can all relate to and relate to our business and what we do, and be able to share it with the world and share it with each other. So, real quick, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Alice Beretta. I'm an equine vet, a wife, and a mom of two wild boys who are growing up super, super duper fast. So hold on, you guys. Life goes by way too fast. But time is precious, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to be on the call tonight, or to be on the replay. But I just wanted to go over just a couple of announcements. Number one, I wanted to say congratulations to those of you that have new enrollments for this week or the last couple weeks. Genevieve Keller. And I need Genevieve to hop on here and let us know if we're pronouncing her name correctly, because I feel really bad. There's that I in there that I'm not really sure if it's Keller or Kyler or. So anyway, we would love to meet her and hear her stories and her testimonials. But Genevieve Keller and Janae Rhodes, congratulations. And the other kind of things that we have talked about before, but I just wanted to briefly go over the MB Core and the MB Enhance are still available separately. If you need to refill one or the other, you don't have to buy the pack. The Tuesday Momentum Live this week is going to be Continuing Your Growth Involvement by Erica Dale. The decaf peach nectarine is awesome. If you haven't heard or haven't ordered it or haven't tasted it, it's back and it's so good. It's so, so good. It's actually really good with the MB Enhance. At least I think so. So I like to add it. It's really yummy. And then if you want to get really spunky, I like getting those ginger shots and putting a ginger shot in there, and that is delicious. Anyway, enough about the peach nectarine. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's one of my favorites. Um, and also Momentum Academy. Mark your calendar if you haven't already. Dallas, Texas, in October 23rd through the 25th. That's a little bit later than usual. Our October events are usually earlier in that month. Um, and I guess that is all I have for announcements. And I guess I'll just share a little bit, kind of introduce the book Good Energy by Casey Means. Um, Casey Means was top of her class at Stanford. She's an MD that specializes in like ear, nose, and throat surgery, and just has won, tons of awards. Is just a distinguished surgeon, but she hit a wall. She hit a brick wall where she had a patient come in with, depression, hypertension, diabetes. She was overweight. She had these chronic, gnarly infections um, in her sinuses that just kept recurring. And, she had seen a million different physicians for different things and just couldn't get the help that she needed. And I think the lady's name was Sophia, maybe. Yeah, she had these chronic sinus infections. And she had to go in and like rotor-rooter, like open up her sinuses and just, they just like, she's like this close to her brain, taking all the bone out so that she could open up her sinuses so things could drain and she wouldn't have these chronic infections. And the lady told her, "You saved me." And she really felt like, at best, she kind of relieved these downstream symptoms from her root disease that was inflammation. And she just had this aha moment that, like, what I treat is inflammation, whether it's sinusitis or, you know, otitis or whatever. They're all itises. They're all probably, have a root cause of inflammation. And when I'm going in there and doing surgery, it's not going to last. Like, she knew this lady would return with the same symptoms. And so it just hit her that she did not want to cut any other patients until she asked why. Why is this happening to these people? Why do they have all these chronic illnesses? And just the way that she talks about just how she really simplifies some complex subjects or some complex things about medicine, but really we've gotten so focused on compartmentalizing everything. And you have all these experts that study like the 3 centimeters behind the ear, you know what I mean? Like this part of the body. And they are so focused on that there's nobody really looking at the big picture. And she just talks about the root cause of inflammation and getting to the bottom of it instead of treating those downstream symptoms is what she calls them. But there were a couple things that she said that really hit me, where she said drugs cut. So like drugs, surgery, and bill and invoice. That was like human medicine. It's like drugs, that doesn't work. You cut it open and invoice. It's just like making money on managing disease, but not actually curing or preventing it. So she really kind of spoke our language. And she had me from the get-go because she lost her mom to pancreatic cancer. And she talked about how she had had these subtle symptoms, but nobody picked up on them. Everybody was like, oh, high cholesterol, no big deal. Like hypertension, no big deal. Like these are things that most people your age have. And they just downplayed all of her symptoms and just gave her a drug for it. And by the time she was diagnosed with her pancreatic cancer, it was unresectable, it was advanced, and she lost her very, very, very quickly. So it definitely hit home for me because I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer, and the same exact thing happened to him where he had plenty of symptoms. I mean, number one was diabetes, right? Like, where's insulin made? The pancreas. And so when your body's not making insulin, do they look at your pancreas? Nope. They write you a prescription for insulin, right? So when my father was diagnosed with diabetes, if they had just done a CT scan and looked at his pancreas, they would have seen the tumor. And then you can remove the tumor, right? You can remove the pancreas. But if you wait 7 or 8 years, by the time your body can no longer hide or cope with the disease, at that time it's all over the liver and it's advanced and you only have a few days left. So definitely hit home, totally understood where she was coming from on that one. And her mom was like super healthy and fit and active, and so she just was like this picture of health, and like she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died like within, I think, like the next day. Like, I was like awful, terrible. So it just really hit home the importance of not ignoring those symptoms, and that disease is not just this random like bad luck thing that might hit you at some point. It's those mild symptoms and the inflammation and kind of that fire that is hidden, that is eventually going to lead to failure of the system. And so the book Good Energy talks about the the concept of like our bodies metabolically working in a good way, in a positive way, where we're producing good energy and not bad energy, and our body is not fighting itself or fighting this. She talks about um our cells being fearful, right? Like our cells are always fighting something, and our inflammation is ramped up because the body knows something's wrong, but it doesn't know how to fix it. And so it was just very insightful the way she describes things. And it was just really amazing how well she explains it on like this really basic, simple level. And we're like, yes. Yes, like why aren't we looking at that big picture, right? And it's kind of like what we're trying to share with people is that we have a solution, a nutritional solution, and how important our diets and our lifestyles and all of that are. And it really did make me feel like when you look at all the people on stage and all the people at the events, they do exude good energy, you know? And so I really love that. I could see why the LifeVantage people were all over that book and wanted to share it with others. But I guess I will let you guys share whatever takeaways you might have or anything that you wanted to add. And that was just chapter one. It actually goes into a little more like mitochondrial health and oxidative stress and all that good stuff. But I didn't want to go on too long. So if you guys have anything that you wanted to share, I'll open up the call and please jump on. I don't see any hands. Nobody's volunteering. You guys gonna make me talk some more? Because I
I was
will.
I was waiting for Christy. She's always the first one. She's like, me. I can see her, but she wasn't doing anything. I'll go really quick. I like you, like she just started the book out, and I was just like, yes, yes, yes. Like everything she was saying was so what LifeVantage has and what they preach and what they believe and what they share and what our scientific, advisory board shares and what, our research and development team shares. And it just was so encouraging. Um, and I have like shared the book with I don't know how many people just in the last week of, somebody just posted on Facebook today that their 3-year-old daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy. And I was like, have you read the book Good Energy? Go read it. Like, and that's all you have to like say is just go check the book out. Like, and that's a door open for us then to have another conversation, hopefully, right? But I just was like, oh my goodness, like everybody needs to read this book. Everybody needs to hear about this because one, it changes our lives, but two, she, like you said, she explains it in such like this scientific, but like easy to comprehend way. And I'm listening to it. I do better through audio rather than like reading. But now I'm thinking like I need the book because I want to like highlight things. Um, but Christy gave me the PDF, so I got to print that out. I haven't really like looked too closely at that, but there's a PDF that goes with it too. But I don't know. I mean, she hit the nail on the head. She talked about oxidative stress, so that's nerve two. She talked about mitochondria, that's nerve one. She talked about collagen, like she talked about it all. She's just missing GLP-1. I'm sure she'll get into that. But she does talk about the blood sugar and the insulin and all that. So, I don't know. It was great.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far. And I love the fact that she doesn't just talk about the theories, like she's going to go into solutions on like when she talks about what's in all the chapters, like chapter 3 or 4 or whatever is going to be how to implement the information she's sharing. So I like how it has that practical side to it, but I haven't gotten that far yet. I just stopped at chapter 1. So Christy, did you want to jump on and share?
Sure. I get really stuck on like minutia. I hyper focus on things like when she says that the body's ATP production, that every day the human body produces 8 pounds of ATP. that just blew my mind. I was like, no way. And she's like, well, we never notice because it's just, it's produced, it's used, it's produced, it's used. It's like this cycle, it's this constant cycle. And, but that just really blew my mind. Oh, those little minutia things really stick out. And Alice, which I remember her saying that her mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and she was dead 13 days later. And that just was like a stab in my heart because I know that your dad, it was fast. It wasn't that fast, but it was fast. And it's like, by the time you're diagnosed with something like that, you're past the tipping point. There, you got to catch it before the tipping point. And that's what I feel like she's really getting to the heart of. This is how you catch things before they hit the tipping point.
Yeah,
Don't wait.
Yeah, I remember her saying, I share my mom's story because her story is relevant to everyone. Like, you don't have to have the same pancreatic cancer, but her story and her, like, she talks about that explosion of chronic symptoms and how it happens to so many of us. And that when you go to the doctor, they're like, yeah, whatever. We see that every day. You know what I mean? Like,
It's so common.
right. And so then
Just
they
because it's
downplay it.
common doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we need to sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
And like she talked about her mom having a gestational diabetes, but at the time they didn't diagnose it. They were like congratulating her for having this gigantic baby,
She was
which was
11.
her.
Yeah.
She was 11 pounds.
Yeah, the author of
What?
the book. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and when I was pregnant with my second one, I was borderline gestational diabetes, and I was not overweight. It was just one of those things that our diets suck. That's what it boils down to. So, yeah, it's really I probably have listened to chapter 1 3 times.
Wow.
And I'm unlike you, Jenny. I do not absorb things orally. I need it auditorily, I mean. I need to read it, but I don't have time to sit down and read it. But I think I'm with you. I need this book in paper. The PDF is not enough. That's like, yes, I need that, Gene. I'm gonna have to get that, Gene.
Well, it's
So
such a good
Gene,
book too. I like the title. Like I wanted to have it to hold, to show too. So, yeah. Jean, did you want to share anything?
Um, I mean, like, I'm just reading this book and I'm just like, oh my God, like, it's not a secret. You know what I mean? Like, it is all out here. And I'm like, why don't people do this? And I just like, our health system is so screwed up
Mhm.
because, I don't necessarily plan the doctors. It's just what it is because they don't have time to go and look at all the underlying causes and stuff. And then I don't think people bring up their stuff, right? They don't know what to do, I think. And it's just like, it's just so things. And I'm like thinking of my kids, like, oh my God, they need to, because my kids are on Protandim, but they don't really take it because they don't listen to mom, and then I go to their dorm rooms and I have 4 bottles laying there and I want to beat them over the head and because I have no control over it anymore, right? Um, but it's just amazing. It's so well written and it's so like easily explained. I think I'm almost at chapter 3 because I just keep reading it. I'm just like, this is my bedtime book. This is what I did on Mother's Day was read for like 4 hours. So, um, but yeah, it's just and it's like kick me in the butt. Like, dude, you need to share this. You need to share this because you need to help people, right?
Mhm.
Um, and forget everything else. Like it's not about the business. It's not about anything. It's just about helping people, um, and stuff. So,
And I think like it's so easy to just be like, oh, well, this disease happened to me, right? Instead of like taking responsibility of decreasing our stress and improving our nutrition. And, like we have so much more control and we've just thrown that control away and we just want to throw it into the hands of bad luck. And so I think just that knowledge is power. And I mean, I feel like we keep preaching the same stuff over and over, but I do feel like human medicine is just leading people astray. And I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys remember, but there is a case report of a 73-year-old man with pancreatic cancer that was published in the World Journal of Oncology. And I remember Allison sharing it on our Facebook page on Activating You. And I was like, oh gosh, I want to look up that paper so I can share it on the call. And so I go to PubMed and I put in like pancreatic adenocarcinoma and Protandim. Nothing, can't find it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I go to the Facebook page, you guys, and that link still works. I was able to find it right away. And the title was Unresectable Pancreatic Adenocarcinoma 8 years later. So I put that into PubMed. And because I thought for sure that link wouldn't work. So I saw the picture of the title and I put that in PubMed and I get the abstract. I don't get the full thing. And I read the abstract, you guys, and I am furious. So this is what the abstract says. So the paper essentially is saying there's this 73-year-old man that had stage 3 pancreatic cancer. They thought it was stage 2. They went in surgically to cut his pancreas out, and they realized that it had spread. It had already spread. It was too late. They didn't take the pancreas out, and they just said, okay, you got to do chemo and radiation. So they went in and then just closed him back up and did not do anything surgically. And he did like 4 months of treatment, and then he was like, forget it. Like, he said he didn't tolerate the treatment and was like just discontinued and started taking Essiac T and Protandim. And then many, many, many years later, like 8 years later, he's got some belly pain. He goes to the OR and he's like, hey, I've got some abdominal pain. By the way, I used to have pancreatic cancer. And they're like, what do you mean you used to have? Like, you don't used to have pancreatic cancer. Like, if you had pancreatic cancer, you should be dead. So anyway, they did a CT scan. They're like, you don't have pancreatic cancer. Your pancreas looks beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. And so then they were like, wait a minute, like if this guy's story's true. So they went back and pulled his old CT scans, had 3 different radiologists look at the CT scans. All 3 of them were like, oh yeah, stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And, confirmed that this guy had pancreatic cancer and no longer has pancreatic cancer. He discontinued, the medical treatment and took Protandim and Essiac T. Well, when you read the abstract that's on PubMed, it says after 7 months, the patient withdrew from therapy due to treatment intolerance. He then turned to self-medication with non-traditional herbal therapies, period. It does not say Essiac T. It does not say Protandim. And so if you want to know what the guy took, you have to find the original journal, but then you got to pay for it. You know what I mean? So it's like you couldn't search Protandim or Essiac T and pancreatic cancer and find it on PubMed because all it pulls up is the abstract. And in the abstract and the keywords, there's no Protandim in the keywords. You can't find it. You can't find it unless you go to Activating You and find the paper that Allison shared and you get the actual like full paper from the World Journal of Oncology. And in this paper, they specifically say this guy's the longest, this is the longest anyone has ever lived with non-resectable pancreatic cancer in the history of forever. You know what I mean? Like, this has never happened before. Nobody's ever lived this long, and they say like there should be some more clinical trials on people who cannot they can't have surgery. Their cancer's already spread. Like there should be clinical trials of people taking Protandim and SAIT, but they just nobody's going to pay for that.
Well,
Nobody's going to pay
and
for that clinical trial.
it's all political.
Mhm.
It's all pharmaceutical. It's money.
Yeah.
Listen, all this stuff is suppressed on purpose.
Yeah.
And what I am loving right now is that there is becoming more global awareness about asking the questions of why are we so sick?
Yeah.
Why do 1 in 20 kids get diagnosed with autism? Why do so many kids have autoimmune diseases? Why is metabolic dysfunction, metabolic syndrome permeating our society? And now it's like looking at all the ingredients in our food and water that most countries won't even allow. And it's like, we have to have a global wake up. And people need to stop like making it so political of like, oh, well, if you agree with, like you're a conspiracy theorist, if you ask a question. And that I feel like is really just it's causing like people are just dismissing. I mean, yeah, we can take all the supplements in the world, but still that's not the root cause. I mean, we're still being bombarded every single day. We need to have like a global change in terms of how we are making our food, processing our food. Where does it come from? What is being put in our food? Like, I mean, I bought this big bag of Doritos from Costco and I'm looking at all the food dyes that are now going to be banned shortly. And I'm like, our kids have grown up on this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just poison that, we're consuming on the daily. I mean, we bought a cow last year and split a cow, like a family farm cow. And we've been living on like this beef for a year. And the beef, like a year old that's been in our freezer, looks better than the beef that we buy fresh at the grocery store that looks gray, And it's like, I'm glad that it's now these issues are being like really brought out into the public of just and being talked about more of like, why are we so sick? Like, and that's the thing, like like these doctors that are finally coming forward and just being like, why? I mean, that's huge because I mean, even as a vet, like I never questioned what the pediatrician told me to do when my child was like 24 hours old, smear erythromycin in their eyes and give them a Hep B vaccine and this and that. And it's just like, wow, we have been so brainwashed when it comes to the pharmaceutical companies and the lobbyists and just paying off all the politicians and they suppress all this stuff, that could help us and cure us because we are medicine it's about sickness, not wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think there's really a global shift happening, and it's going to take a lot not only to change our food industry and start questioning like pharmaceuticals that are, kind of being pushed on the public to treat X, Y, and Z. And then you have more problems related to that you need more pharmaceuticals for. It's just, to me, like, it's cellular disruption all the time. And it's like, not only are we going to have to like think about the approach of that, but then how to rebuild all the years of like, kind of the toxicities that we've had, and then how to, have healthy kids coming up after us like that. It's just really crazy, like, being in children's hospitals for as many years as I have, to see how full these children's hospitals are. And, just hearing, like you said, Jenny, like the epilepsy, the 3-year-old child that was just diagnosed. And like, I had just this past weekend with my sister, like her best friend sent her a video of her son having this like grand mal seizure, cluster seizures. And it's like, none of the doctors like know or even suggests, you know, it's just like put him on more meds. He's on like 2 seizure medications, and it's just like all this stuff has just started, and it's like, whoa, you know, and
Yeah.
anyway, it's
Yeah.
wild.
I remember in the book she talks about how this lady came in with migraines, right? And so she'd already seen a neurologist, she'd already seen whoever, you know, she had seen all these other doctors, they'd all put her on different meds. She had a heart doctor, a neurologist, you know, and then they come see the ear, nose, and throat lady, and she's like, what am I going to do for this lady that everybody hasn't already done? And so she kind of goes back to the basics, and she's like, have you tried a migraine diet, you know, like a migraine prevention, what's it called when you eliminate certain things, like a migraine eliminating diet. And the lady was young and had all these health problems, and looked at her like she had horns on her head, like, with everything that we've done, it hasn't helped. You think this diet is going to help me? And she's like, well, that's like the first thing we should have done. You know what I mean? But nobody bothered to tell the lady, hey, there's this migraine eliminating diet on this pamphlet. Go see a nutritionist. You know, they go straight to, let me put you on this drug for hypertension and this like antidepressant and this, you know, and she's just like, wait, I'm not going to prescribe you one more drug, you know, like you're just going to be right back. Like she felt like her patients, she wasn't helping them, and they were just going to be right back. And it just like that nutrition piece. I don't know. I guess it's like doctors want to give you the easy, right? Like we want to give people the easy fix. And then they
Yeah.
come.
Well, I'll tell you a success story with an ER visit I had right before the convention, which was part of the reason I was like not wanting to go. But so I've been having like crazy hypertension and I didn't realize it, but like my blood pressure was running. I ended up in the ER because my blood pressure was 100 and almost 180 over 110.
Oh.
And anyway, it's, you know, a lot of stuff had happened leading up to that. I swear it all happened like when Donovan was in the hospital, and then Zion was in the hospital. And then, so I was having a lot of anxiety, but I was tracking my blood pressure, and, you know, the lowest I've been is like 146 over 100. And I don't know why. And so when I went to the ER, you know, I was like, am I going to have a stroke? Because like I did not know I didn't know my blood pressure was doing this. Like it was kind of happenstance when I checked it, and I was like, wow, it's crazy high. And so anyway, I'm like, I need drugs like ASAP. You know, I'm like, I don't want to have a stroke. And the ER doctor was like, you're not going to have a stroke. He's like, what I want you to do is start exercising, because I've been very sedentary for a long time. I sit and knit, y'all. Okay, so I have not worked out. I've been just extremely sedentary. You know, my lifestyle is not the best. And so he got me in touch with an internist and all this stuff. But I was really like impressed, because he's like, I mean, I could put you on a pill, but there's no reason you should have this high blood pressure. You know, you need to make some lifestyle changes. You need to do, you know, we talked about diet, we talked about exercise, we talked about anxiety, coping skills, like kind of stuff like that. And he's like, and let's do 3 months of you tracking, and then let's come back and like figure it out. So I was like, wow, you don't want to just throw a pill at me? Because I was taking Donovan's blood pressure medications at home myself. I'm like, I'm just going to take a lisinopril because I don't want to have a stroke. But anyway, like my crazy, and here's the other kicker. What I tracked is I've been on this antidepressant medication for 12 or almost maybe 15 years. And it's an SSNRI, which means it inhibits serotonin and norepinephrine, which is like your natural adrenaline hormone. And so you have increased levels of both hormones when you're on these drugs. And so what I started tracking was when I would take my Pristiq medication, my blood pressure would jump 20 points an hour after I took it. And even though I've been on this for years, I don't know if it's like because I'm older, I've gone through menopause, maybe hormonal plus extraneous anxiety stuff, but it's definitely related to that drug.
Mhm.
And so I'm now weaning off that drug. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But
So
I also feel like those drugs, so many people, I mean, you think about like our society, how many people are on these drugs,
mhm.
and over time, what they do to your body and how your body can start to react to them. Maybe they don't for a long time, but that is a very common side effect of this drug.
Yeah. So the same thing happened to my niece. She's like 20, right? Like she's in college and she's had migraines since she was like 10. And they have put her on a bunch of different meds. And her heart rate was so high and her blood pressure was so high, she literally went into heart failure. Like
Oh,
she was on the heart failure floor. She was admitted for heart failure. Like
yeah.
her ejection fraction was 30, y'all.
Wow.
That's like legit heart failure. And it was all secondary to all the drugs she's been on since she was 10 years old for her migraines.
Yeah.
And it
And
was just like a vicious circle, right? Her migraines were happening because her heart rate was that high and her blood pressure was that high, and it
mhm.
was just like the meds were making it worse instead of
Yeah.
better. It was just so bad.
It's just like, I just think it's so easy to take drugs like candy, and we don't think about the repercussions or even the long-term side effects, like I'm just like, I'm happy having this, but it's like over time when you have high levels of epinephrine or, in your body, like going like all the time. And then it's got to be a load on your heart. Like I was never warned of that, like,
Yeah.
or by my doctor or anything, like, and, um, so I just think, yeah, we just have to be really mindful of that stuff, and not that, I mean, my kids have to be on prescription drugs forever, like ironically, the drugs that supposedly prevent them from going into, well, not supposedly, but prevent them from going into rejection are also toxic to the kidney over time. And so I just think like it is always something, like anytime a doctor wants to prescribe a pill for your kid or you, it's just something I think for so long people are just like, okay, fill the prescription, start taking it. And nowadays I think it's so much more important to think about that and try some of these other like, more holistic like things. And so I'm glad we have what we have, and it's made me start taking my Protandim every day, because I'm really bad about it too. Like I'm really bad about keeping up with all of my regimen. And so like you saying, Jean, I try to get my kids to do it too, and it's just like they might get like one a week, and then I'm like, I usually take it every day when I'm at work, because I have a bottle at my work and it's like on my shelf in front of me. And then when I'm home, like I'll forget. And, but it's kind of been a crazy wake up call for me. Yeah. So y'all pray for my blood pressure.
For
Yeah.
sure. Oh my God.
You need to come
Yeah.
kickboxing with me. There's something very therapeutic about punching and kicking a bat.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was like, well, is it safe for me to exercise?
Yes.
Because I'm like a little scared to get my
Just
heart rate up.
start walking. Just start walking. You got a big
I've
ass
been walking.
farm.
I've been walking. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing, is like 30 minutes a day. I'll go walk the property, or like at work, I'll go walk like the mountain behind us. Like we'll just do like so I've got my coworkers like keeping me accountable and stuff like that too. And yeah, I just like really just realized like I just have not taken care of myself, and it's like I just think I'm invincible. I mean, like literally just don't ever, I'm like, no, nothing's going to be wrong with me. And it's really kind of scary when that kind of stuff happens, where you're just like, well, I feel fine, but you can be walking around. So everybody just check your blood pressure periodically, because I had no idea I was walking around with that. And I don't know how long it's been going on. I mean, they say like if you're diastolic, your lower number is really high, which mine is around 100. Like, that is more of a chronic thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so like my systolic will go from anywhere from like 140 to 160, but my diastolic is usually high 90s to low 100s, which should be way, way lower. And I guess if your diastolic is that high, it's because you've been walking around like that for a long time. So, but yeah, I would have never known. I guess that's how people can just literally have a stroke one day because you've been walking around with this chronic hypertension you didn't know about. So yeah, I'm hoping I don't have to go on meds. So I'm gonna take all my stuff, my biohacking and my exercise and like my Calm app, my whatever. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's so easy to take care of everybody else except for you.
It
So,
totally is. Totally.
Mamas.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to hit a brick wall to remember that you need to be cared for too.
Yeah, for sure. So sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on that, but I figured, yeah, y'all could just, it's a good wake up call for me and could be for other people that might be listening. Just take your blood pressure every now and then because you just never know. You might feel just fine, but it's a good thing to not ignore those signs, like you were saying, Alice, because those could be warning signs like something's going on. You need to address it and get on top of it. So,
Yeah. And I guess just self-advocating and advocating for your loved ones, like that is so huge. You don't have this like the old school family physician. They're not going to look at your my chart and they're
right.
not going to be like, well, this doctor did this and this doctor did that and this doctor has you on this. And like, there's nobody to look at that big picture but you. Like that is your job, is to take responsibility for your health and and like I have to do that for my mom. I made a binder to print this stuff and punch holes in it. And it's
Yeah.
like homework, like nobody else is going to do that. There is no overseer of your overall health. It's like it comes down to you. And I mean, honestly, you guys, we're kind of at an advantage. Like we do have some basic knowledge and we know what to look for. 99% of the population, they die and they don't even know what killed them. You know what I mean? Like they lose loved ones and they're like, we don't know what happened. They were fine one day and they went to the hospital and then they were dead. And like they have no idea what happened, And it's just like kind of scary out there. so I'll take you hiking.
Okay.
I need a partner. My kids don't want to hike anymore and I have a hard time getting them to take
Well, let's put it on the calendar. That's all I gotta say. Mondays or Thursdays. Always a good day for me.
Thursdays. Okay, Thursdays. I'm putting it on the Thursday calendar.
Okay. Well, thank you. I haven't gotten this book yet, but I will. This is the book I've been reading.
Aww. That's a good one.
Jenny's laughing.
She's like, can I have that? Let me see that.
I need that book.
Well, the funniest thing is, like, because over the last couple, month, I was like telling my coworkers, I'm like, I always thought when the kids got older, it would get easier.
It's so hard.
Oh my God.
It gets hard forever.
Hush.
It's hard forever. And it's like the older they get, the less control you have, which makes it even harder. And so, like, I love this, like, author because she talks about, like, nobody ever told me it actually got harder.
The end. End the call. I don't like the way this is going.
I know. No, it's all good. The power of prayer.
Okay, we'll focus on that.
Taking your Protandim.
Protandim and prayer. PP.
Protandim and prayer.
Who's gonna write that book?
It needs to be a culmination of
So I
stories.
need to buy the other book too, because these are my toilet reading books. Like, because I'm so bad about reading unless I'm on the toilet. I just finished a whole novel after like a month, because I would like go to the bathroom and I would just be in there for like an hour.
Did the dogs
We
follow
don't
you?
have you stopped recording.
Love it.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry. No filter over here. Okay.
all right. On that note, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, that everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day and they didn't have to hide in the bathroom to get some peace and quiet. But you guys have a wonderful night. It was so good connecting with you guys, and I'm looking forward to chapter 2. Jean's already read it, but I'm staying on schedule.
Me too.
I'll probably end up rereading it. So there you go. So
Like Christy, who read it 3 times.
yeah.
Yeah, and then Allison hasn't read it at all, so I'm glad.
No, I'm going to. I'm gonna order it. It's gonna be in my bathroom stack.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night, guys.
No. Good night.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night.